Red cards in football are inherently funny, for the most part. They can change the dynamic and inject life into a game that has completely fizzled out. And lately, I've been feeling a little bit like the FM equivalent of telling your sim to go swimming, removing the ladder, and then watching the chaos. So today, we take that chaos to a whole different level. With the latest winter patch of FM23, I'm sure some of you that play a more aggressive pressing style tactic like myself have noticed that there are a few more red cards than perhaps you were receiving before. After doing some tests, friend of the channel Hadrian came to the conclusion that something had changed within the latest version of the match engine that placed a little bit more emphasis on the hidden attribute of dirtiness when it came to deciding just how many red cards there were actually going to be in a game, and that might well be the case if you've got some players that have high competitive streak in their cons. And that got us to thinking, if you did everything, and I mean everything, within your power to make the dirtiest team possible, how many red cards could that team get over the course of a single Premier League season? We'll get to exactly how we've gone about achieving that in a second, because it also reminded us of a very famous Reddit post from several years ago, where in which the poster was attempting to, through signing players and various other strategies, to make his Millwall team the most aggressive team in football. And it's a great read. I will put a link in the description to it as well, because I would honestly very much urge you to check it out. It's great. And they very much walked so we could run, or more aptly, they committed professional fouls so that we could 2-foot people at hip height. So how have we taken this up a notch? Firstly, since our goal here is maximum vibes and to throw the FM match into complete chaos, the pre-game editor has very much been our best friend. Our chosen team for this is Bournemouth, because they are predicted to come bottom of the Premier League and most likely have one of the lowest, if not the lowest, reputation in the Premier League. Now comes the editor part of things. Every single player in this Bournemouth team, including the players that are loaned to the club, have had some tweaks done to various attributes of theirs, turning them from the nice gents from the south coast to a group of monsters who are best experienced strapped to a chair and visited once a week by Jodie Foster. Firstly, their dirtiness is now set to 20, so they chin your nan for a Werther's original. Their bravery and aggression are also now set to 20, which means that they're brave enough to elbow you in the face and aggressive enough to make you go night-night from it. Their controversy is also set to 20, which means they're not allowed Twitter accounts. And finally, their sportsmanship and temperament are both set to 1, which means they'll cheat in a game of Uno and then trash the place when you catch them. Oh, and they all have argues with officials and dives into tackles as their player traits as well, just for a little extra spice. That's all well and good, but how do we then guide these human weapons around the pitch to make them even more dangerous? Tactically, we are just using my standard death by passing tactic that should work relatively nicely, with one minor tweak, and that is that every single player has tackle harder on them now, so perhaps a more apt name would be death by extreme violence. The final bit of icing on the cake is that every player in the opposition instructions as well will be set to trigger press as soon as possible on every player, and of course to tackle harder, because why the hell not? So what metrics will we be using to rate our success here? Firstly, the very obvious ones: the number of fouls, the number of yellows, and the number of reds. Reds being the most important one. I really do want to see if it's possible if we could average a red card per match. That would be 38 over the course of a Premier League season. Fines, as this is where the yellow cards really do start to matter. See, if you get 6 yellow cards in a game, you get an ill-discipline fine from the English FA of £25,000. But this is where it gets fun. In FM, I don't know if this is how it works in real life, for every subsequent fine you get for the 6 yellow cards, the fine level increases by £25,000, meaning that in theory, if you got 10 of those fines in a season, you'd be getting £250,000 fine per time, and it would only be increasing, which means our goal for this season is to see if we can incur £5 million worth of fines. You heard that correctly, 5 million. I've got the in-game editor switched on as well to make sure that we don't get sacked in the middle of this, but I can't imagine why the board would want to sack us. Why would they want to do that? So all I can say is pray for me, because this is going to be a marathon. Well, not for you, just for me. You're going to get to see these wonderful supercuts of players getting yeeted into the moon every 5 minutes. But we're now going to head 10 games into the season to see where our progress is at. Now, before that, of course, you're now going to see a video of all of the red cards we get between now and then, probably set to some aggressive music to really make things stand out or something. Right, we go. So we're back after 9 matches, which is kind of a quarter of the season. We'll do 19 and then 27 or whatever and things like that. But the point is, we are so far ahead of where I expected us to be at this point. You have no idea. 14 red cards in the league in 9 games. As things stand, we're on for well over 38. We could be into the 40s this year if we can keep this kind of pace up, potentially even getting close to 50. 69 yellow cards after the first 9 games. Nice. Couldn't really have had a better start after the 2 red cards against Palace. The game also featured, though, 11 yellow cards, which is the most I've seen in any of my tests. Best news so far, and this was genuinely something I was not expecting, is that we've managed to get a fine for ill discipline for every single one of our opening 9 matches. We're now up to £225,000 per fine and have already put in £1.1 million into the swear bank. I almost start to wonder if a £5 million fine this year might have been under-egging the pudding a little bit, because if things carry on like this, we could be getting potentially even close to £10 million in fines. I don't know. I would love to reach that sort of target, but £5 million is still the goal, and I just want to see how long we keep this streak going for. In one of my tests, I actually had a game against Manchester United, which I think I'll show you a thing on screen right now, where we actually got 4 straight red cards in the first 20 minutes of the match. I would love to see if we could get that replicated again in this video. So I guess we're going to stuck back in, join you guys again in 10 games this time at 19 matches. I want to be I guess we want to be hoping for like at least 25 reds by then, surely, and 100 and God knows how many yellows. Let's go. So we return halfway through the season. League-wise, it's going dreadfully, but you'll see we did in fact win a game. We're not really here for that. As for the other situations, things are going relatively well. You can see 128 yellow cards. It definitely has fallen off a little bit over the course of the last 10 games. We had so many games which we got 5 yellows and not that extra 6th yellow that we need for the fines and also to bump up the yellow card rate. But we're still on, as things stand, for over 250 yellow cards in a season. As for the reds, 26 on the board currently, which is not too bad. It means we've got 12 in the last 10. We're still progressing at a lovely rate. And as things stand, we'd be on for over 50 red cards in a single Premier League season. So that's always fun. As for the fines, we have now received 14 yellow card fines this season. In the first half of the season, we're being fined at the moment 350 grand per infraction and are up to £2.65 million. If we were to somehow get another 14 fines in the second half, we'd be well over 5 million. 10 is probably a bit harsh, but I think 5 is definitely doable, provided we keep going and don't sort of fall into this slump of getting too many 5 yellow card games. Like, get one more, lads. Stick your foot in. 128 yellows. The nearest is 43. It's like 3 times nearly the number of yellow cards as anyone else. Gets even worse on reds, though. West Ham have actually had 6 red cards in the first half of the season, which is genuinely very high. And there's us with 26 being like, right, lads, how's it going? As far as fouls go, I thought we'd have a look. Everton at 390, but we've committed 700 fouls. We're on for 1,400 fouls in a single Premier League season. Let's get cracking with another 9-game stretch to get us really into this and see if we can keep up this pace for that 50 red card season and I guess 250 yellows maybe. Who knows? We return once again, 28 matches down this season. Now, 15 points on the board. We've actually managed to win a couple of games now. 184 yellows now. The one thing that's happened lately is there's just been a real dirge in the number of yellows we've been getting. I still think it's possible to get 250, but that's going to be a real task. As for the red cards, though, those 3 in the last game against Leicester really did help. 38 yellows. So we have achieved 1 per game for the whole league, but I still think 50 is doable. I reckon 12 in the next 10 games, given the way things are going, is definitely possible. Mateus Viña, 5 5 red cards he's managed to achieve so far. He's been mostly getting second yellows, which is I think is why he's been able to come back so fast, but he did get a straight red before as well. One more for him maybe in the next 10 games. Don't know if he'll actually be able to play in any of the next 10 games though. That is a genuine question. But on the ill-disciplined front, we have succeeded in our goal. 21 times this season we've had yellow cards, 6 yellow cards in a game. There's only been 7 matches this season where we failed to get 6 yellow cards, and I'm fairly certain that 5 of those 7 we had 5. £5.75 million in fines. With 10 matches to go, if we could just get like 5 more, there's a real chance of us maybe reaching like £7.5 million in fines. Join me if you will for the final 10 matches of this. Can we meet our goals and become, well, we're already the dirtiest team in history, but even dirtier? Why not get even dirty? If you're already in the mud, drag others down with you, I say. We only went and bloody did it. 51 red cards and 239 yellows and 51 reds in a single Premier League season. Conceded 103 goals in the process. Didn't score an awful lot, but we did get a lot of... We actually got more red cards than goals by a considerable amount. In fact, 17 more red cards than we scored goals. I don't even know where to begin. I suppose with the players, especially here. Ryan Christie, shout out to him for 16 yellow cards, and also Mateus Viña with his 6 reds. Now, Viña at one point, after that last red card that he got, that was a straight red there, ended up with a 7-match ban from that one because they add on 1 each time. Absolutely madness. As far as fouls overall, we ended up with 1,386 fouls. Not quite enough to get the 1,400 that we were on for from the first half of the season. One of the also reasons that we got less yellow cards over this latter stage was just there was less players on the pitch in order to get booked, and also in order to like kick someone or get a foul, you have to be able to go near them. And when we were playing those games with 8 men for a lot of them, there was just never opportunities to make any fouls because we couldn't get near our opponents. And I think that's why the yellow cards dropped over this latter stage of the season. And on that front, West Ham got 107, which normally would be far and away enough to get you the number 1 spot here. But there's us with 239. You love to see it, friends. And as far as Reds go, again, West Ham, pretty boisterous side themselves. And then there's just us here with 51 red cards in a single season. That's gone better than I was ever hoping it could have done. And also, just a side note, this was recorded on the same day that there was a match update for FM. Obviously, I haven't shut the game down. It came out while I was recording this video, because it's been like 7.5 hours of me sat here playing these games. For a more comprehensive thing as well, you can see Viña with 6 reds, Lewis Cook and Jadon Anthony with 4 each, Lerma with 3, loads of people on 3. I mean, that's a lot of players. We had 22 different players sent off for us this season. But I've just been looking at the loans, and because they all got the same treatment, James Hill. Can we talk about James Hill? James Hill is on loan at Hearts this season. The man has got 10 yellow cards and 10 reds. His overall appearances for Hearts this season, 12 yellows and 11 red cards. Big shout out to Gavin Kilkenny as well on loan at Charlton, also achieving 10 yellows and 9 reds in League One. If he got 9 red cards in the league, how did he manage to... Firstly, great season. Secondly, if he got 9 red cards in the league, how did he play 39 games? Did man get more than 1 red card in a game? Did he just like not serve a suspension? I assume that's just random glitchiness from FM. There's no way he could have got 9 red cards. Oh yeah, and the thing you were finally waiting for here, we got 25 different yellow card fines this season for a total of £8.1 million in fines. We were up to 625k. We had so many games that we got 5 yellow cards in. I would say at least another 7 games out of those could have even triggered it further. I think if we just got 1 more yellow card in those matches, we'd have been well over 10 million here. But I'll take 8 million. £8 million in fines is good. Usually you have to like spill a load of oil into the ocean to get those kind of fines. So we're doing all right. Don't know what more I can really add here other than I hope you had a good time. I sure as hell did. It has been nearly 8 hours though, so there is that. If you have enjoyed the video, drop a like. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Got some more mad nonsense coming up soon as well. You aren't even ready for it. And yeah, I'll see you guys very soon. Hold your gun, capybara. Happy red carding.